We've known Juventus as a big Italian powerhouse in football, winning a lot of the titles on a road to the tens, but now they have a massive drop-off and they're not the club they used to be. I think it's the perfect time to go and rebuild them this summer. I mean, first of all, I decide between which formation to use in these rebuilds. I kind of was torn between 4-3-3 or the 3-4-3 or 5-2-3 or whatever you want to call it. But I did go up with the 3-4-3, 5-2-3 formation. I don't call it 3-4-3 formation that Juventus have been using for the last season, even with Jorge coming in as Juventus coach. I feel like it's going to stick with that formation. I think with the signings I made, the squad is definitely suited for that role. So let's get to it. My back line would be De Gregorio, Renato Veiga, Gatti, and Bremer. I think this Juventus team has a lot of depth in these centre-back departments. I think they have a lot of good options at the back, but I don't think none of them, apart from maybe Gatti, or I think like maybe Bremer is a really good centre back. Apart from him, don't really have any very good centre back. Gatti is pretty good enough to be a starter. And I think it needed one more guy to be there as a defender, as to make the third centre back in their system. Because defense in the bench, Rugani is pretty good. Savona, Kalulu, even like Kelly is gonna play well sometimes. I think I need a more consistent and a better number 2 defender in your team. I see some rumors with Leone. I think I don't know specifically which team. I think it's from Parma. I think Leone. But I actually want to end up going with Renato Veiga, a guy I really liked playing for Portugal and Chelsea. I'm pretty sure it's out of favor as Chelsea. He's been at Juventus, I think, for loan in the last season. So I think if Juventus really want to try and get a deal done, I think Chelsea will be very much more than open to try and get a deal done, because they have a very big squad and they have to raise funds for Xavi Simons and Garnacho. I think getting Renato Veiga in their team will be done with very ease. I think it's a guy obviously left footed, so that's a big plus as your back three. The guy can play left back, centre back, so he can really play in the back four, back three. It's a very versatile guy in your team to have. And it's a guy that played very well Juventus. I saw him playing with Portugal and took he played. I would like to see him play at Portugal. So I really like watching him play. I think he can take his defense from pretty good to even greater. Now, the goalkeeper, De Gregorio is a pretty good goalkeeper. I'm not going to say very much about that. Even in terms of backups, Belin is a great backup for De Gregorio. I don't know if he wants to leave this summer. I haven't seen really any big rumors around Belin, so I'm going to guess he's going to stick. And if he will stick, I think that maybe one of the best backup keepers that is in world football, and Juventus can kind of have them to be able to rotate with Gregorio very easily between both of them. I think in this back line, obviously not amazing. We've seen Juventus like Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli a lot of the years, like even Weissenstein or whatever. A lot of good options as defensively. Obviously, this back line is not near as good enough as the one they had in those years. But for now, I think that's is a perfect upgrade for them, and it's a guy that can elevate their defense to just be a little bit better than it is right now. Now, my midfield forward would be Cambiaso, Usman, Locatelli, and João Mario. Now, obviously, I think I incorporated the wingbacks into the midfield. Obviously, Cambiaso is a great wingback. I really like Cambiaso. He can play on both sides, obviously, so I think that's another huge plus for him. Man City was very usually interested in him last winter and also this summer as well, and Juventus has been able to keep a hold of him. I think that's very big, because Cambiaso is an amazing player, is an amazing fullback. Juventus very lucky to get him. Hopefully, you can keep hold of him for the next few years, because he's gonna be one of the best fullbacks that the world can offer in the next 2-3 years already, or maybe even this year already the best fullbacks that world football has offered. And then at the other end, we have João Mario. Obviously, he came in with a swap deal with Alberto Costa. I mean, in my opinion, I don't like that deal. I think Porto stole Juventus on bright highlights, because getting João Mario, obviously, as Portuguese people know, especially Porto fans, João Mario didn't really have the best season at Porto last year. Also, I think Porto, all of Porto, had a pretty bad season last year. I think that maybe one or two players kind of played better than the most. But João Mario is not one of those players. He didn't really have the best season, he wasn't really in the best form, he made some very big mistakes. So I think to get him from Alberto Costa, obviously was an experience. He came to Juventus from Vitória Guimarães, my hometown team, and the team was, I think, like 5th or 6th in the table at that time. Also pretty good fullback, pretty good player. And I think he was starting to get into the hearts of Juventus fans, starting to like him a lot. But then Juventus made this move. I cannot control it. I mean, I guess I think Sean Mario is still a kind of good player. He still has some potential to tap into. Maybe like to learn things that Sean Mario, he can actually help develop Sean Mario. But I can help with feel that Porto kind of stole. I think Porto Costa is a bit younger, like Mr. Shaq. So yeah, Alberto Costa is 4 years younger than Sean Mario. I think it's a very big difference. So I don't really know what they're trying to do with this transfer, but some of that's been done. Also, I think I mean, in terms of left wing back, I think a lot very good depth there. Kostic is a pretty good player, or a pretty good enough player. Kavala as well. So I think you're pretty good there. And then like right hand side, also they lost Timothy Weah, and they don't really have the best depth. They don't really have like a direct backup from Mario. But Cambias can play there when needed. Western Mechanic also play there when needed. So I really think that bringing in a new right back or new right wing back to be a backup when you have a lot more priorities on the table. I don't think that's really like a big urgency for Juventus. I don't think it really should be on the to-do list this summer. Now, onto the midfield, I think that's really what Juventus should really best at, especially to bring in Martin Jullman. Also, as a Sporting fan, I've seen Jullman play week in, week out, and obviously I don't want to see him leave Sporting because he's just an amazing player on both ends of the pitch. Like, it's just a very good all-around midfield that can bring Juventus to a whole new level in terms of midfield. He's a guy that defensively is an amazing player. He can tackle very well, he can read the game very well. Also, it's a bit aggressive sometimes, which may be a bit of a negative from him. But in terms of defensively, like we can point out a lot from him. Like, it's an amazing defensively. Even like with the ball, it's amazing. A guy who was very, very comfortable on the ball, can pass the ball pretty well. Like even short passes, long passes. Even like offensively in terms of final third, he can go into final third at a long range shot because he loves long range shots. He obviously he scores some. Occasionally from Sporting and from Denmark as well. Like, just an amazing midfielder, to pair him with Locatelli, that's an amazing midfielder. Unfortunately, just have two guys who are very good on off the ball, two guys who are around, especially Ullmans. And off the bench, you have Miners, who was a guy I think starting last year. I think was a very good player at Atlanta. Obviously, hasn't played at that level yet. Maybe you can really bring him out to be that. Then you have Thuram, another amazing player, French, still be young, so he can kind of help him develop to be even better than what he is right now. I think we can have a lot of very healthy competition there in the midfield. And you also have the tilt that can have maybe play a 43 if you want to, because you have a very huge amount of midfielders who are very well enough, who are really, really good players, very much Serie A level for Juventus. And I think that like maybe that's their best points. Also, they have Ullmans, Locatelli, Miners, Weston McKennie, and Kevin Tudam also have sell players, and also by funding Ullman, because I think Ullman will probably be around 60-70 million. There'll be a lot of things surrounding Ullman to Juventus already, and I mean, also there's really this cost of 80 million euros at Sporting. I've seen a lot of reports saying that Sporting will be open to negotiating a deal around the 60 to 70 million mark. So also you have to fund those bringings. So I think you could sell like a guy like Arthur. I think you have some market in Brazil. You can like maybe look at Luis. The guy is pretty much out the door at Juventus. I even see some reports of a swap deal with Lucas and Nilsmans for Sporting. I don't think that's true. But he has a guy who has a very good market as well, the Prem and other countries as well. And you can also sell Miretti, a guy who has a lot of Serie A market as well. So those three guys who obviously will kind of be out of place at Juventus, and three guys that can really bring in good money, and three alone will probably bring more money than what you will need to bring Bushman. So I think that obviously that midfield will definitely be their best strength, and I think that's what you will use to win games. Also, again, as I said, if you really think the midfield is very strong, you can just go back to three-man midfield. Maybe go for a 3-5-2. You can go with that. We have a lot of options you can do with that midfield, so I think that's really the best strength for Juventus. Now, our front three will be Kenan Ildiz, Stefan Sancho, Chantan David. I mean, I really like this front three for Juventus. Starting on the left wing, Kenan Ildiz is just an amazing player. He's a really young guy. I think he's 19. He's 20 years old. He's a guy who's already of immense quality. He's been nominated for the Copa Trophy as well for this year. He's a guy that can really play so well for Juventus. I think he's really been their best player last year, and he kind of had that breakout year for the Juventus as well. I mean, he's an amazing player, a very good dribbler, which is a very good winger. I mean, that's kind of the guy that you want to build a team around. That's the kind of franchise player you want to take on for the next 5 to 10 years. And for Juventus to act right now, I saw some reports with him to Chelsea. I don't think that's going to happen. Obviously, keeping a hold of him would be very big for Juventus because Kenan Ildiz is the truth. It's going to be maybe even better than Arda Güler will be. It's just an amazing guy. I feel like that's the one guy that Juventus has to be and say, okay, that's like our untouchable guy. That's like the one guy I don't want to sell because it's just so good for Juventus. 11 goal contributions in the league last season. Obviously, nothing that really pops out. But for a young player, kind of think maybe like his first, second full season at Juventus, I think that's still pretty good for him. And it's a guy that's only going to improve. I think you can really see him take it the next step this season and become maybe a top 10 winger in the world, maybe a top 15 winger in the world. Even like a striker Jonathan David, it's a guy I really like that move for Juventus. A guy who's going to come on free from Lille. A guy, I mean, is at a proven track record of Lille. He's been playing very well at Lille. As a lone striker and in a two striker formation or whatever you want to play him with, you're going to be able to play with. And it's a guy also comparing him to Vlahovic, who's a striker that Juventus has said over the past 2 years. Jonathan David is by me the favorite player. I'm really big fan of. I actually was very surprised that not really any more team was really in the market for Jonathan David this summer because obviously because the striker market was very big this summer and I got Jonathan David will kind of unnoticed, but honestly transferred is way better off than a lot of strikers that Juventus has had in the past 2 years. That's a guy that's going to help Juventus massively. And I mean, obviously, in terms of name, you might not really be very impressed. But it's a guy I think it would make the difference for Juventus. And at right wing, I think they needed a new name. They brought in Francisco Conceição from Porto finally after his loan deal was very successful at Turin. So it's still a bit inconsistent. I mean, he did play well with Portugal off the bench. Not really when he started, but off the bench was an amazing player. I think you kind of see the type of contribution from Juventus as well. A guy who off the bench will be amazing for them and will prove to be an amazing player for Juve. But I think a new right winger to provide some competition and to be there as well. I think Senan Sancho is the kind of guy that can actually help develop. We've seen a lot of players, especially coming from Premier League, to go into Serie A and actually play very well. Coming McTominay, I think, is a prime example of that. He came from Man United. He was all favored there. He's a guy who's not been in the 30 short list at the Ballon d'Or. Lukaku is not an example of that. Like, if so many examples of players leaving Premier League, going to Serie A and to play well. And maybe obviously he didn't really play well at Chelsea last year. But he kind of had some good promise with Dortmund when he was loaned there before Chelsea. So maybe I don't think. Also depends on the value of the transfer. Maybe they can bring him in back on a loan, or maybe a loan option to buy, and that has to happen. I feel like that's just a really easy transfer to make. If not, anything I feel like Sancho is kind of a risky transfer, considering the fee and the fact that he's not really been performing at his best in the last 2 years. You can also bring in Adam Zagrova, another guy from Lille, a guy with I've been getting links to Marseille lately, but a guy that I'm really big fan of that winger. I'm pretty sure can play on both sides of the flank as well. So I'm really happy about that. A guy who is just, it's an amazing winger. And I think maybe it's better than Sancho at this moment, but I think the kind of risk you can take, the ceiling that Sancho has at Juventus, at Zagrova. I think you can take in either of these wingers. I think either of them will be very good at Juventus. Now to cap off, I do have to talk about Colomani, the guy as a backup striker. Also, I don't think Vlahovic is good enough to be at Juventus as a starting striker. And if he's not as a starter, I think you should sell them and ship him off to another team. I feel like some Serie A clubs were the kind of open to bringing him in. I guess Milan was one of those clubs who were interested in bringing Vlahovic in. I think Colomani is the guy that last year Juventus played pretty well when he was on loan from PSG. And also PSG, they brought in Luis Favalier, they brought in Savani as well. So they kind of need to sell some players. Colomani is the guy to maybe 20 million euros. Can brought in Juventus or maybe like a loan obligation to buy for next year. I think Juve can get easily a deal done for Colomani. A guy last year was very successful for them. Probably played better than Vlahovic last year. And a guy also as a backup striker or a competition for the Jonathan David. I think that's a no-brainer. I think that's the move they should try and go with. Now, also looking at this team, it's not really amazing as he wants into the dance. Obviously, it doesn't have the star level that the Juventus team that we saw dominated Italy for 8-9 years. Obviously, it's not that good as a team, or it's not thinking of the names that the team had, not even comparable to teams that this team, the names that this team has right now. So obviously still a bit of a downgrade. But I mean, comparing this team to some of their like Serie A teams, like AC Milan, I don't really think this Milan team is better than the Juventus team by any means. I mean, I don't think Atalanta, not especially without Gasperini as the coach, I don't think they'll be able to beat Juventus. I don't. Maybe Inter can beat them. Like I feel like Inter or maybe Roma, because Roma, not really Roma. Like Inter and Napoli can kind of maybe compete for against Juventus for the Serie A title. But I really think Juventus can really kind of take care of Inter and Napoli. I think this team right now with these additions made, obviously like, this is like what 3 weeks until the summer ends or the window ends. So they don't have much time to do really any kind of big moves. But this would be already a very good summer for them in terms of squad building, in terms of improving their squad. And I think with this squad that I made right now, they definitely be in the Serie A title race. I'm not sure which position they ended up last year. They ended up, and I think it was a fourth best team, and with Tudor they had a big kind of form the last couple of game weeks because before Tudor they were not playing that well. They were like maybe seventh at some points this season. So to be able to come back from that, be fourth, that's a very good sign for Juventus and Tudor. And I think Tudor can really get this team to maybe easily top three. I think to contend for the winning Serie A title. I feel like this team can do that. It is within their ranges. Obviously, playing a bit more with Tudor, getting to know a bit more as a manager. This is another great point, another great sign for Juventus to be even better next year because they do have a lot of time with Tudor. It came in pretty sure like towards the end of the season almost, and they do have any kind of time to accumulate to Tudor or know the statistics or whatever. So I think this year, if they make those signings, if they make the right signings, I think it could be a very optimistic year for Juventus come next year.